All right, we are live with Quarantine Conversations. We are so excited to welcome one of our Marion County resource families. His wife unfortunately couldn't join us today, but we want to welcome Sean Forte to Quarantine Conversations. We have Caleb Stemmel, our foster parent recruiter for Kids Central, Senior Director of Out of Home Care for Kids Central, Sharon Gibbs. I'm Jessica Gilbert. I'm the Director of Community Affairs. I get to do all the fun stuff like Quarantine Conversations, and we're so excited, Sean, to welcome you. So welcome to the team, and we look forward to getting to hear about your journey and your stories and the kids that you've had in your home and how people can become a part of the Kids Central community of care. One of the things we always ask everyone to do is to drop your comments into the live feed. If you are a current foster parent, you can hit the love button, the care button, the heart button. If you want to learn more information about becoming a foster, adoptive, kinship parent, or just getting involved in our community of care, whether that's volunteering, donating, any way you can get involved, please send us a message and we would love to get you hooked up with our community of care. So I'm going to toss it over to Caleb to get us started. Caleb, why don't you introduce us to Sean?
Oh, Sean is Sean. We'll get into that in a second. You're a pastor over at Meadowbrook. You are a foster parent for how many years now? And we lost you. Sorry, we can't hear you, Sean.
There you go. I was muted.
There we are. We're back.
It happens.
Okay.
Yeah. So we just actually got relicensed for our second year. So we're in our second year of being a foster family.
Nice. You've just passed that newbie phase where
yes,
it's all of a sudden different, right?
That's right.
That's fantastic. So you got licensed 2 years ago now. Let's just start with that beginning of the story. Like, what got you into being a foster parent?
Sure. And first, I just want to say thank you for having me on tonight, and Caleb and Sharon and Jessica. The great work that you guys are doing for our kids and our families and our community is really mind-blowing. You and your entire team, because I know it takes a team to do what you do. And but just want to say thank you. Thank you for your heart, your effort, your energy, the hours that you put in, and you're truly making a huge difference. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. But so my wife and I, for a long time, wanted to do foster care. Didn't really know what that meant. Didn't really know how to do that process. But we did know that God would show us the right time and when that would look like. And we have 2 biological children, and we really just kind of felt for our family that we needed to wait till they were older and in their teenage years. And so currently we have a 17-year-old son and a 15-year-old daughter. So they were about 15 and 13 when we started this process. And we had some good friends of ours that were a foster family, and they said, hey, go to the Kids Central website, reach out to them, and they'll be able to tell you when the next training will be. So we did that, and we jumped into a training actually that Sharon led with Shalonda, and they did a fantastic job. And it was really great to meet them and great to meet the other foster parents that were going through the training at that time.
Awesome. So you had a fellow foster parent rope you into this process and bring you on in. Our foster parents are hands down our best recruiters of other foster parents, because they're like, we can tell you all about it. So again, and then we appreciate you being here tonight doing the same thing. So I guess my next question is so you got a call, and typically what happens is they give you a call and say, hey, you just got your license, you're a licensed foster parent. Would you like to take a kid? And it's like the same day, right? Was that how it worked out for you guys, or was it a little bit different?
Yeah, it was pretty close. We became a foster family in May, and we started getting calls right away. And they happened because there's a lot of need. There's a lot of children that are going through crisis, and a lot of it not because of actions that they've made, but because of the caretakers that they're maybe with. And so the need is great. And so we did start receiving calls right away, but we really felt that we wanted to wait and begin our process of foster care with respite. And so we waited for that need to come up. And it was in July. Actually, no, it was closer towards the fall that we received that call and ready to receive somebody that needed respite help.
Wow. And so for those that are watching that maybe don't know, could you explain to us what respite care is and what that looks like for you guys?
Yeah, sure. When we got into foster care, we really only thought there was one way to help becoming a foster family, and that was long-term care. And a lot of times that can go from 6 months to a few years. And we thought that was the only way. Then going through the class with Sharon and Shalonda, they really began to show us that there's other opportunities to be able to help. And so one of those ways is by respite. And what that means is that maybe another foster family is going on a vacation that they're not able to take their foster children with them, or they just needed a break. They just needed some help. And they could call and ask Kid Central to help with respite by finding another foster family that could take in their foster child for a week or even a little bit longer. And then that foster child would go back to that foster family. And so that was another great opportunity for us to realize that there's more opportunities, not just long-term, but there's short-term, there's respite, and there's even just ways to encourage and to send a card or a note or buy diapers for a foster family, and even in a care community kind of style.
Absolutely. Those are our hashtags. You just nailed all of them. So a community of care is what we talk about all the time, as well as foster, adopt, and support, because I mean, supporting is such a huge part of what goes on, because not everybody can do it. It's a hard life. But following that, you mentioned respite, and you actually, I had the pleasure of helping you with your most recent respite placement, which was a little bit different. It was outside the age group that you guys normally take in, right? So could you kind of give us a little bit of a story on that?
Sure. We've had 5 different children in our home over the last 2 years, and they've actually all have been respite. And we could talk about our first one that has been kind of a big part of our story if you want to in a little bit. But the most recent one was a 15-year-old young man that they needed to have respite for. And then we've had 2 other middle schoolers that came for respite last year. But, you know, we got the call from you, Caleb. You said, hey, man, we've got this young man that needs help and needs some respite help for about a week. And, you know, it wasn't part of our original age group, you know, and so our age group was the younger children. And I think you and I even had a conversation prior to that even through COVID, to say, hey, if something came up that there was a need, we wanted to be able to help. And through respite. And so you called and talked to my wife, and we're like, hey, this is what we felt God wanted us to do during this time, is just to help. So let's just go for it. And, you know, there was all these uncertainties, and there was all these what ifs, and there was all these things that kind of run through your mind, but we really felt that we were just supposed to do it. And so he came into our home, and, you know, like a lot of children in care, they get to be really quiet in the beginning. But after his foster family had left, he began to open up and began to connect, to have dinner together, to have conversation together. We have chickens and a horse outside. And so we went out there and just was showing him around. He's like, man, if I can help do any projects for you while I'm here, let me know. And so, you know, we talked about, you know, doing some painting and some different things. And it ended up just being a really great experience for us, our biological family, but I believe it also was a great experience for him. He just really connected, made dinner for us one night, was a joy to be around, connected great with my biological children, and just was a really good experience. So we were honored really to be able to help him. And just, even if it was just for a week, is to be able to share love with him for that week was really awesome.
Absolutely. You never know what that week may mean down the line.
Right.
But let's go back. Let's go back to that first story that you were going to say, because if you're willing to share it, I think it's a good and amazing story. Is that first respite care placement that you guys took in?
Sure. So we get a call for respite help, and so we were so excited because we've been hopeful to be able to get that call. And so it was for a 2-year-old little boy who needed help for about 5 days, and so he came and you know, did a lot of the same things that most foster children do. And he was really quiet. He'd been through some stress in his life and a lot of things that he was gone through even as a little 2-year-old boy. And he came, and, you know, we were told a couple things about his personality that weren't positive. But through our time together, there was just this new heart that was coming out of him of a joy and of laughter and of some healthy things that were coming even in the first few days. Mm-hmm. And my wife and I, we felt that after those first 2 days, even though our plan was to do respite, But after those first few days, we just felt in our hearts that we were to call his caseworker and ask his caseworker if he could stay with us longer. Now, we didn't know like how that works. We didn't know if we would offend somebody. We didn't know, what that process looked like. But we called his caseworker and just said, hey, he's doing so well. And we know that he was struggling before, but here he's doing so well. Could he stay longer? Could he be more of a long-term placement for us? And she goes, you're not going to believe this, but we just got an email from the place that he was currently in asking to replace him into another foster home. And so God really connected all those pieces, and we really felt he was supposed to be with us. And so he was with us for about a year and a half, and just this past week actually was able to go to his forever home, that one day he'll be able to take those steps towards adoption.
Oh, that's so cool. And I love the phrase forever home, because that's really what we're looking for.
Yeah.
But I think one of the biggest hesitations we have across the board when people think about fostering is that they go, I couldn't give them back. I would fall in love and then I wouldn't be able to do that. So how do you do this? How does that happen?
Yeah, that is the biggest thing. And it's really the response that we get a lot is that response, like, I couldn't do that. And really we felt the same way. That's a human reaction to feel that way. And so if you feel that way, just know that you're human, and that's okay. But again, we felt we were called to do this. And, with that whole process, we just felt that if we could share God's love with a child, and if we can invest into a child, and if we can give that child maybe just an ounce of hope or of encouragement or, again, love, then it would be worth the pain that we would experience if that child left us after a year and a half and went back to his biological family, or that child would be, adopted by another family. We just know that was what we were called to do. So we were willing to experience some hurt. And to be honest with you, with our recent long-term placement that we had with us, we have experienced hurt. We have experienced the emotional heaviness of that. There were a lot of tears last week. There were a lot of tears as we were driving home, leaving him in his forever home. There were, and so I can't say that there were not. And so, but I do know this, that again, that year and a half, if we were able to invest into his life, and we were able to help him and change the course of his future, then it makes every part of hurt that we would experience worth it.
100%. So that kind of leads me to, I think, another great, a part of this is being a pastor. That's a huge part of your life, and it's a part of who you are. It really is. So how do those things mix? Being a foster dad and a pastor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that's a great question. And, the Bible really, it says to help those that are fatherless. And so that's really, part of our church mantra. And, one of the things I love about our church, Meadowbrook, is that our pastor, Pastor Tim and Alicia, they have a huge heart for our community and huge heart for children and a huge heart for fostering and for adoption. And so when we became a foster family, it was very well and very much encouraged by our lead pastors to do that and to talk about that. And so for these last 2 years, we've really been able to give that a platform. We've been able to share with our families within our church information about fostering. We've been able to celebrate the last 2 years of May being National Foster Care Awareness Month and be able to get that word out there. We've been able to have Kids Central come and set up tables and again, get the word out there. And so it's really helped us as a family to spread awareness of the need. And it's also really helped us as a church to spread awareness of that need too. And it also has helped gather our foster families together and to encourage them within our local church and to be able to meet needs that they may be experiencing as well.
Fantastic. Yes. That community of people around you as a foster parent is so incredibly important. And I'm sure you know this, I'm preaching to the choir, but that's one of the first things we talk about, especially coming out of Pride class with our new foster parents, is that if you try to do this by yourself, it probably won't go well. And
Yeah.
so you need people around you willing to support you. So thank you for taking that leadership role and stepping in and being able to help other families, as well as just kind of lead like, we got to stick together on this.
Yeah, it's been awesome. In fact, today, actually, our kids team at the church, they got together and they bought 2 sets of bunk beds for one of our local foster families. And so that was 4 beds that they were able to put into a room. And not only did they make that happen a few weeks ago, but today they had a group of about 10 people at that foster family's house, repainting the whole inside and the kids' rooms and the living room. And again, just sharing a little ounce of love and encouragement to that family.
Awesome. Remind me afterwards. I'll talk to you about a resource for that as well.
Okay, excellent.
My next question for you, though, is this is just a fun one, kind of to close up, and then I have a serious one afterwards. But what's your favorite memory of being a foster parent thus far? I mean, it's 2 years, but there's got to be some really exciting times.
Yeah. I think my favorite memory was the first night our first foster son came into our home, and he had come in, and we had taken my son, my 17-year-old now, when he was about this child's age too, and he had one of those indoor basketball hoops. And so he had spent all night, that was our icebreaker, was trying to get him to engage by playing basketball there. And so we had that. And then after basketball, he climbed up on the couch, and we sat next to each other and we're reading a book. And my wife had snapped this picture from behind us, and it was just the 2 of us sitting on the couch. And it was just a beautiful moment and memory for me of just the little things that we can do, and it's not about being perfect. Foster families aren't perfect. In fact, no family is perfect. It's not about being perfect. It's about finding opportunities for the one thing. What's one thing that I can do today to invest into this child's life? And so that picture for me, just seeing it again yesterday, was just that reminder and that memory for me of the reason why, we do foster care is to give the one moment and to give the one opportunity to be able to encourage or to help a child.
That's fantastic. I love that. Okay, so last question.
Yes.
And I try to ask all of the dads this, because I think a lot of times the moms are like, let's foster. We need to take these children. We need to save the world, and we got to do it. And then I think that the dads kind of hesitate. They're like, we don't need to do that. We don't need to. I think there's a hesitation to bring that into their house. So if you could speak to our dads that are kind of hesitating and maybe holding back, what would you say?
That's a great question, man. I believe in fatherhood. I believe in investing into our children. I believe in the calling that God's called men to do, and that is to raise up other men, whether it's your biological children or foster children or a coach or a school bus driver, a school teacher, whatever it is, working in Kids Central. I believe that God's called us to raise up young people behind us. And so it's one of my greatest joys of being a dad. And that figure, that role for me is not just my biological children. It's all kids that I have the opportunity to be able to invest in over the years, through church, out of church. But I would just say for men that maybe are watching this, that you're just unsure, I would just really encourage you that maybe there's something on the inside of you that you have to be able to invest into another child. Maybe you're a grandpa now, but maybe there's something on the inside of you that could be able to help mentor a child that's in foster care. I know I have opportunity to talk to business leaders sometimes, and there was a local business leader that said, you know what, I can't actually have a child in my home full time, but I can mentor a foster child on the weekend. And that foster child would go to their home, through permission of Kids Central, and be able to have some mentoring with that child. And I think there's so many different ways that we can really reach out to children and families that are hurting, that God really wants to use us to make a difference and to leave an impact in the legacy behind us.
Fantastic. Thank you. Sharon, you said you had something that you wanted to wrap up about respite care.
Well, one of the things that I thought was very good and that Sean pointed out is, and Jessica always is saying that there's always a way you can help. If you don't feel as though your schedule might be where you could, foster full time, Then, of course, with respite, for those who don't know, respite days for our foster parents is generally about 12 days a year. And so it's great that with Sean's schedule, their family is able to help out and provide respite for those who might have an emergency or might need some family time, or couples might need a getaway, which we strongly encourage after while you're fostering, because we do say that you have to make sure that you're on the same page with your spouse, and use that time. So of course, providing respite care is just as important, equally important in this process. One of the things I wanted to commend Sean on is that, the child that was in his home, he talked about the bond and being able to find a forever home. Um, the best thing about that situation is that this child was able to achieve permanency, but in the scheme of things, he's able to maintain a permanent connection with you and your family. And
Right.
that is something that will last a lifetime. That's one thing that we often, we have so many foster parents that say that, the kids that are adults now, they have their children that come back, or when they get married, they're there for all of the critical junctures in their life. So that is something that I think is good, that even though and of course we commend you for your work, and this child was able to find a permanent connection and a forever family, he will also have that with you and your family as well. So I commend you for that. An excellent point with the respite for a teen as well. We highly encourage people to think outside of the box with accepting a teen in their home. And I'm glad that it worked out well for you as well.
Yeah, thank you.
I mean, I just think your story's super amazing, and I love what you do. I'm actually a Marion County girl, so I kind of want to take a props to Marion County for just a second, and what an amazing foster parent association they have, and the community that surrounds our foster parents here in Marion County is, I'm telling you, second to none. I think all of our counties do a fantastic job, but I have to say that Marion County really just wraps itself around our foster parents all of the time. And I don't know if you want to speak on this and what our community is really like, but as somebody who was born and raised here in Ocala, I've watched our community come together for not only foster kids. When someone in our town gets, hurt or in trouble or is in need of help, this community just, I'm telling you, steps up and comes together. And it's one of the most amazing experiences to live when you grow up here in Marion County. And so I just thought maybe you could speak about how Marion County has helped you as a foster parent, and how people in Marion County can get involved to help with fostering or adoption, respite, or just helping Kids Central out.
Yeah, that's great. I do agree with you, Jessica, that we've got a great county. We've got a county that rallies together, helps each other. We've got great resources in our community through even Facebook, and there's also great resources even outside of that through different churches and different other organizations that even Kids Central offers in our community as well. And so there are so many great resources for foster families that you're not doing this alone. And that's one of the things I love about it, is that you're not alone. You have the resources of Kids Central, of the centers, and then you have the resources of all the amazing foster families that you may know, and if you don't know, there's ways to find out who they are, to be able to encourage each other and realize that you're going to have days that you can call and celebrate with each other. And then you're going to have days that you need to pick up the phone and be like, what do I do now? Because I'm struggling. I'm struggling here and I'm struggling there. And I'll be honest with you, there were days early on in our long-term placement, things were going really good in month 3, month 4, but month 5, 6, 7, 8, I believe, were really tough. And we really struggled, and we didn't know some things what to do. And so we were able to pick up the phone and even stop by and talk to some of our local foster families and ask for help, ask for encouragement, ask for prayer. And we really pushed through on it and had a victory on the other side. So I'm not sure if that answered your question.
Always that honeymoon phase with.
Yeah.
John,
there's always that honeymoon phase. It always happens. And then, you kind of get that mix up, and then we get back into the groove. I mean, even as just a regular mom, we have those moments.
Sure.
And so I just think that taking that selfless love that you're able to do and to give our kids is just such an amazing gift that you guys have as foster parents.
Mm. Absolutely. Sean, I was going to ask about the mentorship program in Marion County, if you've connected personally with anybody and how that's gone. Have you been involved in that at all?
I haven't personally been involved with a mentoring program through Kids Central or anything like that. Personally, I know we do have great resources through the Boys and Girls Club. But the one family that I mentioned earlier, the business owner, that was something that they just kind of initiated on their own to be able to say, this is what we can do. And I do believe that there's something that we all can do. Again, whether it's financial support, or it's encouragement support, or it's having a child in your home, or just sending a card or a call or a text. So there's something that we can all do. But no, to answer that question, I'm not currently doing any mentoring within foster families. But I did reach out to our Guardian Ad Litem program, which is another opportunity, is something that you can do, that they are looking for volunteers to be Guardian Ad Litem, which essentially, as you know, is really just being an advocate for the child that's in care. And so I'm going to be hopefully going through those classes to learn more about that program. And then what I would do, and just like the kids that I've had in my home, I would be a Guardian Ad Litem for a child in a foster home. So I would do, and tell me if I'm wrong, because I'm kind of new to that part, but I would do like a monthly check-in with that child in their home. I would be able to go to court dates, be a representation for the child, and looking at the child's best interest. And so I am looking at doing that and continuing to be part of that process.
Very cool. Yeah, that's a really cool program, because sometimes, especially if kids bounce placement, which is sad, but sometimes that Guardian Ad Litem's like the one consistent voice that they have through that process. So it can be really helpful and influential. So that's amazing to hear that you're doing that.
Yeah.
Jessica, have we had any questions pop up in the chat box?
Truthfully, we haven't had a whole lot of questions. We've just had a whole lot of amens and preaches and loves, hearts. And, I think people are just very much connecting with what you're saying, which tends to happen a lot here on Quarantine Conversations. We have a lot of foster parents join, and I think there's people that watch that are still trying to decide if they're ready to take that big step of saying, okay, this is what I want to do. So, hi to all of you that are ready to take that big step. We're ready to take it with you. And one of the things we wanted to talk about too, when you were talking about mentors, is in all of our classes and pride classes, correct me if I'm wrong, Sharon, we have foster parent mentors that go with you per county. So in Marion County, we have mentors that help you through the process of becoming a foster parent, and while you're fostering, that you can reach out to for that guidance, for that, help, for that, oh my goodness, what do I do now? I know that right now, one of the big things and topics on everyone's mind, and I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of it, is what do I do for school this year? And how do I handle all of the things that are happening with the changes from COVID-19? That's why we started Quarantine Conversations, was to hear how people were dealing with it. But it's continuing, and those are hard choices when we're parents, whether we're foster parents or regular parents. And I think just having that support system is so incredibly important. And I wish you could see all the support you have. I hope you watch this back when you can, on our live right now, of the support that just rallies around. And that's what we're here for. We're here to help our foster parents, to guide them, to make sure they have all the answers that they need. And even when it's hard, we're here to have those foster parent mentors make sure that they stop by and see that everything is going okay, and can walk through them with this journey, because this is a journey for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I would just like to piggyback off of what Jessica is saying. Definitely, with Marion County, we have families that have prepared meals. I'm sure in every county we do have families that are able to step in, because one of the things that we do say is that pride training is just the first part of it. So definitely, after a child is placed in your home, the game kind of changes just a little bit. So we don't expect everyone to be experts. And we know that definitely, as Jessica referenced, the honeymoon period, after that, then when things really, quote unquote, gets real, definitely being able to have, Amy Hill in your corner, having Miss Laverne available. There are quite a few parents in Marion County, as well as all of our counties. So we just want to let all of our Kids Central family know that once you go through this process, we definitely are able to link you with a mentor. And I know, Sean, that 2 years you're experienced, but we still can refer you to a mentor if need, because, it's difficult. One of the most selfish things I think that with this agency that we do is we ask you to open your doors and love a child. And in the same sense, we do recognize that a child might be reunified, or a child might find their forever family. And then ultimately that child might move away, but forever to hold that child close in your heart and to maintain that relationship and permanent connection. So we do understand that that could be very tough. And we do commend you for that. But we definitely want to say, well, good luck with the guardian ad litem. I think you will make an excellent one, because you do truly advocate for the children.
Thank you. Actually, Laverne was one of the foster moms that helped me and answered a bunch of questions for me and was a mentor for me too. So yeah, you guys do a great job with that.
Awesome.
So I just have to include this because our favorite foster parent in the entire world, just kidding, she's one of our favorites. Brandy just called me out for saying that Marion was top of the list. We're not saying Marion's top of the list. We're saying that all of our counties are amazing. And, you know, our Lake Sumter families, here's a shout out because we don't want you to feel left out.
Jessica, when you did that,
it's not a competition.
Listen, I thought, oh God, what are you doing?
She just was making sure everyone was listening. That's all.
Well, she's trolling me in the comments, so I had to give her a troll right here live on Facebook while she's watching it. So we do love all of our foster parents. It's incredible the amount of love that comes from every single county. And, you know, I am in awe every time I get to talk to a foster family, to hear their story, to hear their struggles, their triumphs, and not just our foster families, our adoptive families, our respite families. I mean, it goes on. The Kid Central community of care is strong, and it's large, and it's truly one of the most inspiring things I've seen in all my days. So, you know, I just wanted to troll Brandy for a little bit. So Brandy Buckner, you've officially been Kid Central'd.
Lake Sumter is awesome. I'm so excited that we got to interview really you're at the beginning of your foster parent adventure. I'll leave you with this, and then I think we can probably close, is that my parents started as respite foster parents almost 20 years ago now.
Wow.
And they adopted 6, and now we're this monstrous family of like 10. So it gets crazy and out of hand. You're just starting. Don't put all that pressure on you, but I'm so excited to see what happens and what comes.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's been a joy to be able to share with you, and thank you again for all the hard work, the love, the attention, the encouragement that you provide to foster families, adoptive families in our community. You're truly, truly, truly making a difference. So thank you.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
Well, this has been another amazing edition of Quarantine Conversations. They just get better and better as we go. One little side note, we are going to take the quarantine away because we're not exactly quarantined anymore. And we're going to move to a new name of Kid Central Conversations, where we can still continue to have these amazing conversations with the amazing people in our community of care. We will be back in about 3 weeks with the next edition of Kid Central Conversations. We hope you'll join us. Sean, as always, thank you so much for joining us, sharing your journey, sharing your testimony with us tonight. We really appreciate you taking the time out to join us. Caleb, you're the best host we've had next to me. So, I mean, keep doing what you're doing. I'm feeling a little, I might not have eaten dinner yet, so my blood sugar might be a little low. Sharon, you're our out-of-home care senior director that I don't know when you sleep. I don't know how you do it. You do an amazing job. So thank you for everything that you do.
Sleep is totally overrated.
Apparently it is in your line of work.
Learning before this.
Sharon's on more Zoom calls than anybody I know. So I love her to pieces, and she's amazing at her job. And we really appreciate all you do too, Sharon. You get a shout out tonight too. Thank you guys for joining us on this live. We appreciate you. Have a good night. We'll see you in a couple of weeks for Kid Central Conversations.